am Amy Vetter, and welcome to the Breaking Beliefs podcast. This valuable time is for you to pause in your day and go on your own self-journey. Discover the beliefs that are holding you back from living your best life at work and at home. Learn from the guests on this show as they share their inspirational stories on how they found ways to break internal beliefs that were no longer serving them. Because if you believe you can, you will. And our podcast begins now. Welcome to this episode of Breaking Beliefs, where I interview Kelly Rocha, who is serving currently as the president of the Sacramento chapter of Meeting Planners International. During this episode, Kelly shares her very vulnerable story of how COVID has impacted the meeting industry and the profession she loves so much, and how, like many, she was doing her best to cope and stay positive. So for many of you out there that are dealing with the same situation of change and pivoting your career, hopefully this episode will give you some great tips and actionable ways to be able to move forward and find new ways to fulfill yourself and your career. Hi, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Beliefs. Today I'm with Kelly Rocha. And Kelly, you want to start off and just give us a little background on yourself?
Mom of two, been in the association supplier industry for 20 plus years, going through this current time, laid off. So trying to figure out this new world.
Yeah.
Very active, hiking, wine tasting, beer tasting now.
Those are the good things of having more time, right?
Yeah. Gardening, figuring out life right now. It's interesting to see where I'm going to land.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many people are in the same position. You know, life's kind of turned around unexpected. So always good to get back to the things that fulfill you. And
yeah, definitely. And with grown kids now, it's like, what do you do?
Right.
Before I was a volunteer, for Little League and high school football. And now that the kids are grown, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's just me.
It's just me.
I've been actually going through similar stuff. My kids are in high school and college, and it feels very selfish. It's like, wow, I can just do what I want right now.
Right? Yeah. I have a boyfriend now who wants to just take off and go every weekend.
Yeah.
And so we took a road trip. We went to Fort Bragg, and then he's like, we don't have anything to get back for. Let's just go up to Eureka. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah. Like, I have nobody to report to, so let's just go.
Yeah. It's a very different time. So, Kelly is the president of MPI, Sacramento chapter, and, the meeting planning industry, the conference industry, all of that has entertainment as a whole has really been affected hard during these times. So going through a lot of change. And I think that's always a perfect segue into what this podcast is all about, is getting back to who we are and understanding how we make pivots and different decisions in our life. So I'd love to just start out understanding where you grew up, what did your parents do, kind of what are the things that you loved to do when you were a child?
So I was born in Huntington Beach. My dad was a surfer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My mom worked at Disneyland. So I was a Disneyland baby. I was actually the first Disneyland baby because she started there. Well, not the first, I shouldn't say that, but she worked in the parking lot. So for any of you guys that remember the E-tickets, F-tickets, she worked on the tram. Enter to the left, exit to the right.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky to have kind of the surfer lifestyle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Really laid back. Then they split up. And my mom remarried and we moved up to Grass Valley. I have 3 sisters. We were really, I don't know, I think about it now and with my kids, like taking them out, they're so lucky to be able to go to Chili's or Friday.
Right.
And for us, going to McDonald's was special and
Yeah,
splitting
exactly.
fries. So I had a pretty good childhood. We always had to stay outside. We were limited on TV. We were only allowed to watch TV on Thursday nights when the Cosby Show was on and Family Ties. It was good. I look back on it now and it's like, I was blessed that they
Yeah.
raised me that way. It was family dinners every night and, you sat at the table with everybody and
Yeah.
played volleyball, basketball, softball. Finally narrowed it down to soccer and softball. Then actually moved to New York. And between my sophomore and junior year,
Oh, that's a big change.
my stepdad was, he got a job as director of admissions at a boarding school back there. So moved back to New York and that was interesting. Going from California to New York was
That's
definitely a challenge. Yeah. Not a happy camper, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
My dad was in Florida, so it was a choice between Florida and New York. And it was like, stay with my sisters and my mom and stepdad or go with my dad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of going back a little, when your dad's a surfer, like, I don't know what the occupation is around that or how he lived his life.
So he was always
very
in
different
sales.
type of
he was always in sales.
Okay.
And then he actually developed a patent on disposable linens and garments.
Oh, okay.
And so he actually became a very successful entrepreneur in Florida and sold his company to a China company and was able to retire and buy a ranch and had his own surfboard built and just lived the life.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you surf?
I've never surfed.
Really?
I've body surfed, but I've never surfed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my son, we live in Ohio, but he loves surfing. So we try to find vacations where he can go.
Yeah, no, I've never. I actually have a fear of it because on a trip to Santa Cruz one time, they have these waves that are called, they come in like really big all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of them. And my girlfriend and I were in Santa Cruz and we were out and all of a sudden we see this huge wave coming in. So we're trying to get back to the shore really quick and we can't make it. So you have to like duck under so you don't get pummeled. Well, we got pummeled into the sand on the bottom. Oh. And it's like, yeah, the ocean is not anything to play with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we went this summer in North Carolina and which I didn't even know there was surfing in North Carolina, but there was a lot of jellyfish. So I was like the whole time you're like, please don't sting me.
Yeah, we were actually in Fort Bragg, we were just there and there was a bunch of jellyfish just on the beach, dead.
Yeah.
That had washed up. But it was so beautiful up there.
Yeah. Awesome. So, okay. So your mom, when you guys moved with your stepfather, what did she do? She's
a nurse.
Oh, she was a nurse. Okay. A nurse. All right. So you took a really different career path. So what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a child?
A marine biologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what interested you about that?
Just everything about, I think, it's funny, I think back and I think it's because my mom always got National Geographics. And we got, I don't know if you remember, but they had those records that were kind of like rubber-like, like they
Yeah.
weren't real records,
Yeah.
but they played whale sounds.
Oh, okay.
And so it just fascinated me. And I just remember watching all these shows and movies or documentaries about animal life and plankton and shrimp and the different layers of the ocean and the different colors and how it got dark, as you went down and
Right.
the depths of the ocean. It was just fascinated me, the different mammals. And I just was like, I don't know what made me change from that.
Yeah. So did you originally want to go to school for that or
hmm
what?
Yeah, my whole plan was to go to San Diego and go to school for that. And everything changed. I moved to Florida after I graduated high school and worked for a five-star country club and that's where I started in the hospitality.
Ah, okay, okay.
Things never changed from there.
So what did you do there?
I was a server and a bartender. Had a lot of famous clientele there. It was in Boca Raton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
But it was good. I mean, making 40,000 at 2021, it was
right.
like, whew,
Yeah,
great, and no responsibilities.
right.
So I had to leave. I had to come home back. My mom and my stepdad actually moved back to California. They kept their house. So they moved back. And I was like, I got to get I'm going to just die. If I stay here, I'm going to die.
Why did you feel that way?
Because the lifestyle, you're bartending until 11 and then the
Right.
bars are open until 5 in the morning. So you go out. I mean, that's the lifestyle down there.
Yes.
You go out dancing and drinking and it wasn't healthy. And I was like, I got to go.
Yeah. So you went back to California and then did what?
I was a bartender.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was a bartender and then became, what did I do next? I was in sales and that's where I met my husband.
Okay.
Um,
Sales
then,
where? At the place you were bartending or?
no, sales for, I actually did both jobs for a while. So sales for a home improvement company.
Okay.
Um, did that. Then I got pregnant with my son. And so moved to the office and became the administrative manager and did that for, gosh, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then got hired on with Cal SAE. So that was my transition into the association world
So that's California Association.
of Society of Executives. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got hired to do what?
I was director of membership first, and then I became director of membership and administrative services. So I did all the membership, all the admin, HR, did that for a while, and then kind
Okay, so we took a pause, so if you can edit back here. So you were director of membership for the California Association?
of California Society of Association Executives. Yeah. And then I also staffed the SoCal chapter. So I would travel down there for all their events and handle the meetings and helped out with we had two major events up here. When I first started, we had a golf tournament and we had what was called Fall Forum in Palm Springs. And then we switched it and became the annual conference in spring. And so we had seasonal and annual conference. So I would help out with registration and, just making sure everything went smoothly and just basically was hands-on. I mean, everybody was hands-on there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So how did you feel in that job? Because this is like really different than where you started out with. Did you enjoy doing that job or?
I did. I got burned out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I got
so,
burned out.
so what did
Um,
you do to help with the burnout?
I left.
Yeah.
um, and went to DBA, which was the Debt Buyers Association,
Okay.
um, and basically did all their meetings. So they had two large meetings, always one in Vegas and always one wherever. So I went to Jackson Hole one year, I went to the Keys one year, and just did stuff. And then went to Cal CPA, California
Oh,
Society
okay.
of
Yeah.
CPAs, and was their programs manager. But I found that the association world was just so boring. It
Mm-hmm.
was like monotonous, the same thing. I was planning the same meetings every month,
Right.
every year, all the time. So I got a call from a friend that worked out at the conference center where I went to. She was like, I just think that this job would be fitting as director of catering, sales and catering, because we don't sell hotel rooms. And you would just be basically selling meeting space and helping people plan their meetings. And so I was like, all right, I met with her and was there and was very successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I have so many clients that are friends on Facebook now because it just became a personal experience. I mean, selling is not something that's easy to do.
Right.
You have to make it's not about you, it's about becoming personable with who you're working with.
Right.
um, Finding a common ground and getting interested in what they like and what they know and making a relationship so that they come back to you. And I had so much repeat business that my bosses were stunned. They were like, how do you get them to just keep coming back? And I was like, well, you make friends.
Right. Exactly.
It's not just a one and done and thanks for coming, thanks for your money, see you.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right.
You establish a relationship, you want them to come back, you make sure that they have a good experience and that your staff treats them well. And that's what I did.
Yeah. So how do you think anything from your background, like as far as growing up in California, um, and being near the ocean or having the example of your mom, what do you think helped you in maneuvering into these roles? And
Honestly, my dad, my real dad, he was great at sales. And I remember as a little girl, my stepmom always reminds me, she's like, you used to say you wanted to be the next Mrs. Lee Iacocca and be bigger than him. Um, and she said you were so ambitious. And my dad always pushed me, and he still does right now. I mean, he checks in with me probably 3 times a week,
mm-hmm.
sending me jobs and this and that, and just building me up. And he was just so, I mean, he was so good at what he did
Right.
and so successful. And I think he was just an inspiration for me that's what I wanted to do. It's funny because my sisters are all nurses
Oh, okay.
and I'm the only one that went
Like the other direction.
totally opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are there any situations where like, you're in a sales situation and uh you're like, oh, I can totally hear my dad coming out of my mouth, or
Yes.
what would be some examples of that?
I'm saying I can appreciate that when they're frustrated or
Right.
um, let's figure out a situation that's going to benefit both of us. Just trying to circumvent any kind of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was just dynamic in that way and helping people calm down and just putting them at ease. And so when I see him or myself, I'm like, oh, hi, Dad.
Well, and it, I mean, I think, in times like these, but also, even in regular chaotic, stressful situations when you can back up and know it's not just about you. Because it sounds like the way he would go about it is like, how do we both succeed here? I hear you. I'm listening. I'm not ignoring what you're saying. And how do we come together? And it's the same thing. Like, right now, everyone is, probably not always themselves because people are stressed out and so forth. And it's just remembering, we've had some harder customer interactions at my yoga studio, and we just have to keep backing up. Like, people are going through a lot. So, like, how do you like hold space? And that's what it sounds like.
Well, it's just interesting now because it's like my boyfriend was like, he'll tell me, you're in such a rut. You don't leave the house. And I'm like, where am I supposed to go?
All right.
I'm like, I go for a walk in the morning. I water the backyard. I'm like,
Right.
what do you want me to do?
Right.
It's not like nothing's open.
Yeah, especially in California.
Yeah. Yeah, especially here. Nothing's open. What do you want me to go do?
Right. Yeah. So what is your path forward now? Like, what are you looking to do the same things, or are you looking at other things that?
I'm just looking at anything, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of sales jobs in senior living.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitality is not going to have anything for a year.
Yeah.
At the minimum. And when they do open up, there's so many people that are unemployed that it's just going to be a barrage of people that are applying for the same job.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't see anything opening up for me there.
Right.
I see myself having to move industries.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is right now. I mean,
right. You have to be open to
change.
Mm-hmm. And so how are you, because I think other people are definitely going through similar situations of loss of jobs, or, even job responsibilities changing, if you do have a job. So what are you doing to maintain your energy and making sure that you stay open and positive to other, to the future unknown?
I'm just trying to, we're taking a lot of road trips right now, mm-hmm. just to kind of keep healthy.
Right.
He just bought me a Vitamix, so I'm experimenting a lot with that. Just trying to stay positive, honestly. Yeah. It was, for a while there, I was honestly in bed, mm-hmm. watching movies and seriously depressed. I called my doctor. I'm like, something's wrong with me.
Right.
It's like, no, everybody's going through this right now.
Right.
And so she's like, you just need to get out, make a schedule. So I actually made a list and would do things, apply for this many jobs, clean front bathroom.
Yeah.
Make yourself lunch. I mean, I actually am one of the few that lost weight during this pandemic because I would forget to eat.
Right.
I was like, oh, what time is it? Why am I shaky? Oh, you better eat something, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think that's really important is like, I think everyone's gone through some sort of depression or, feeling bad. And the way I kind of look at it, which I think your doctor might have been saying as well, is like, you give yourself space, but like a timeline of like, okay, I felt sorry for myself for the last 2 weeks, for a month. Now it's time to start moving forward, because the thing is, you don't want that to last too long, but there is time that you just need as a human, sometimes, and give yourself grace for going through it. But then, do what you need to do to keep yourself motivated. So if there's lists you need to make, if there's reminders, stuff like that, of just giving your focus.
Yeah. Well, and it was nice, I think, was it last Thursday, I pulled out all the fall decorations and decorated the house, mm-hmm. put everything up, and just kind of, the fall is always my favorite time of year. Mm-hmm. So kind of I just felt this, like it
Yeah.
felt good,
Yeah.
and then I went out and my gardenias were all blooming and so I picked a bunch of those and let them float in a bowl. Um, so just kind of trying to keep myself, positive.
Right.
And it's so hard right now, job hunting.
Right.
My boyfriend was laid off 2 weeks ago, but he's in the medical field. So he's getting calls right away.
Right. Right. Right.
They
Right.
want they want to snatch him up, and he's like, I'm just going to take my time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Because
Yeah.
I'm not used to. I've
Right.
never not worked.
Right.
So for me, what is it now? Since June.
Yeah.
So it's surreal to me
Right.
being home and not having to do anything. Like, it was so exciting to set my alarm and get up for this call this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so odd.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think it says a lot of just, like how many calls you're going to make, how many reach outs, it's similar to a sales position, right? It's a numbers game,
Yep.
until something works out. So, um, I'd like to close out the interviews with just a rapid fire question. So, you can pick a category. So family and friends, money, spiritual, or health.
Family and friends.
Okay. So if with your family and friends, things or actions that I don't have that I want.
The lost time that I don't have spending with my kids now because they're grown and they are more interested in being with their friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Things or actions I do have that I want.
A new start, because I'm recently divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just barely coming on a year.
Yeah.
So finding Kelly again, it's been nice.
Yeah. It's a journey, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And finding, a partner that actually comes in the kitchen with me, and when I'm cooking breakfast, it's not me cooking and serving it to him on the couch. He's actually in the kitchen with me, mixing the eggs
Oh,
and
awesome.
talking to me. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Things or actions that I don't have that I don't want.
negative energy in my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of the angry, negative. I'm just done with that.
Yeah.
I don't have time for it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And then doing what you need to do to keep the energy the right way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And things or actions that I do have that I don't want.
Too much time on my hands.
Yeah. And then you'll look back on this, you're like, why didn't I enjoy that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too much time on my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for being so honest and open about your path. I know a lot of people are going through similar things, so I'm sure they're going to be able to pull from here and know they're not alone. So, is there anything you want to make sure that people take away from this as we close out this conversation that we haven't talked about yet?
Just stay positive, keep moving. When I was at work, I was doing the stairs 3 times a day, and I missed that. So I bought a bike that
Yeah.
has a basket in the front. And so I get up and go for walks and ride the bike and just go have, moonlight wine at the lake. Just stay active and keep positive, because laying in bed and being depressed is not going to help you.
Right. It won't help you move forward.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us today for this episode. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And now is our mindful moments section, where we talk about some things that we can take away from this conversation that we had with Kelly. And for many of you that have gone through the difficulties of losing a job during this time, or any other kind of family trauma or changes, this time has really been a test of how we truly learn about ourselves and where we can take ownership in the things that we can change, and also release the things that are out of our control. And I even know for myself during this time, I've had to go through that practice many times and notice when I have felt off and given myself the space to feel it. You know, Kelly talked about that very vulnerably about, giving herself the time to watch movies in bed when she needed to and so forth, to help her with getting through just the depression of the change in her career and the profession as a whole, with things that we cannot control. But with anything, we can give ourselves time to feel sorry for ourselves. I remember, many, many years ago when I sold my accounting practice, the day after I sold it, I woke up in the morning just feeling so down and depressed, where you'd think I would have been celebrating. But it was something for so long that was just a part of me, part of my body. It was something I created. And really trying to define the next day, what does this mean for me? Who am I? And I literally made myself each day go out and run, get myself moving. And, for many of us, we can give ourselves time to just be sad and grieve change, which I did. And I've taken that lesson into my life in different periods of time where things have been hard, and say, okay, it's time to feel sorry for myself. It's time to allow myself to grieve and let that go. But then there has to be a timeline or an end to that so that it doesn't take over. Because with our minds, wherever our minds go, it can affect our body. And if we allow our minds to take over and not start focusing at a certain point, then we can start getting into a new habit that we don't necessarily want to be in. In order to create a habit that we want, we have to be very intentional about that. And Kelly really gave some great examples of doing that, where she started on a checklist of things that she needed to do, even making herself a meal, but also how many calls to make that day and how many networking meetings and so forth, so that you literally have a list of things that you need to do each day so that you stay motivated. With all that being said, everybody's going to go through trauma and change and things that are unexpected in different ways. And one of the most important things that I have learned through my yoga practice is non-judgment, where we can see different responses in people or go through similar experiences, and in our minds say to that person, what you should do is this. And we often will give that advice because we care about that person, we're trying to help. But oftentimes it also is tinged in a little bit of judgment, because we know what would work for us or what we think that person should do, rather than giving them the space of what they need to do on their journey in order to heal. And everybody goes about these things different. So what I'd like to say to all of you, for any of you that are going through change and unexpected trauma through this time, and where you need self-care, is to allow yourself to give yourself space in the way that you need to go about it. And also give each other grace, that when someone is acting out or you see strange behavior that you've never seen before, realize that they are on their journey too. And everybody is just trying to make it. And so for all of us, what we can do is offer what somebody wants, but not offer too much where we're crossing the line, but be there for each other and be open to each person's journey so that we can also create a sense of acceptance and non-judgment in our lives for ourselves and the people around us. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Breaking Beliefs podcast. I hope you will take a moment to pause before entering back into your day to reflect on this podcast and note 1 to 2 actions you are inspired to do from today's conversation that you could incorporate into your life. To read the full blog and listen back to this episode or any other, you can find them at www.amyvetter.com/Breaking Beliefs podcast and related videos on my YouTube channel. For daily inspiration, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Amy Vetter CPA. I hope that you will choose to like this and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and more so that you can join us for more inspiration on our next episode.